So hi and welcome to your to a special session today on how to stay updated on different areas of law. This is an interesting topic, and we chose it because many of the lawyers and our students whom we come in touch with, they say that the biggest challenge they are facing is how to stay updated with latest developments, latest amendments, latest regulations. Okay, and so I thought that why not have an interactive session on this, and we can look at some of the best strategies and approaches to stay updated on this. So I would like to know from the two of you who are there right now, and as more people join in, we will hear from them as to what is the challenge you face in staying updated. So name one challenge you have felt where you wish that I wish I was updated on this so that I could act on it, where it would benefit to stay updated.
Yeah, actually, I would like to share, basically the contracts person may not be, exactly from the legal background, okay, in the corporate world. So I sometimes I find that finding the commercial landmark cases in a one platform, like if we can have an access to websites or something like that, where all landmark judgments related to commercial disputes can be viewed. So it would really be helpful for us.
Okay. That would help you in explaining to clients.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even upgrading our knowledge in that particular field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So access to landmark judgments is important.
Access to landmark judgments specifically with respect to commercial, disputes.
Yeah. Venkat?
Yes, sir. As I'm working in a private company, I had to go to undergo some company rules and regulations, which are very tough actually. It keeps on updating each and every time. So that is where I felt little difficult.
Okay. Which is an area of law? Can you name one area of law?
Company law, sir.
Company law is a specific area of law. And for Ketan, it is basically judgments.
Yeah, basically commercial disputes. Judgment respect to commercial disputes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Juhi, what about you? What about this topic challenges? What is the challenge around staying updated for you? So I'm asking you so that this can be targeted and we can use some examples to implement this.
Yeah, so for me, staying updated with the relevant policies and all those notifications that come up relating to commercial laws, relating to, say, the industry that I work with, relevant laws to that industry, every once in a while it so happens that a notification is issued or some directions are issued from, say, the relevant government, and I need to be updated with that so that I keep in check the compliances that I need to make.
Which area?
Company law, one, labor laws, two, and as of now, right now, currently, what I'm facing is what I need to be really updated with is labor laws, and also company laws and relevant, say, SEBI related all notifications that come round. Like recently, the new this thing came, notification on insider trading. So all those things that keep coming, I need to keep myself updated, because as soon as something comes up, I am called upon by the management and asked, what is this about? What are we going to do about this? How is it going to affect us? That way.
Okay, got it. So this helps me understanding where we all are with respect to staying updated on new areas of law. So let us get the obvious out of the way, okay? So first thing is, see, it is very easy right now. At the outset, it looks like, okay, we can Google and identify what are the new changes in the law and learn about it. But the problem is that when you are working in the industry, staying at that cutting edge constantly, where you know what's new the moment it happens, and you can influence, you can take a lead step in ensuring compliance or ensure your advice is up to date. That is the challenge that we are looking at addressing, right? How do we constantly stay updated so that we can provide the best quality of service? So we are going to break this down into some specific categories now. Okay. So the first step in this is going to be, for each of you, if you notice, the area is different. For Venkat and Juhi, there is an overlap because you're looking at Companies Act related updates. For Chetan, this is different. He wants landmark judgments, for example. So the examples that we will use will also stay different. Now, the first thing is that, let's take an example. So Juhi, with respect to you, where do you face a challenge? Now, the latest, you do not know when the latest notification is come. That is the challenge, or reading, understanding it and putting the big picture, that is the challenge, or both of these are challenges?
Both of these are challenges because every day I do not visit the sites where I'm supposed to get updates on, because I'm so much into, say, other sort of works,
Okay.
or we have so many works to do throughout the day that it does not give me so much time. Say I could spare an hour or so, but it will only be there when some relevant problem is brought to me or some relevant question is asked. I go back and check.
So
But
the first step,
I
yeah, sorry, go on.
I feel these things should be like known to me before a question is asked.
So the first step is that you need an inbound system that delivers updates to you.
Yes.
Okay. Chetan's update method is requiring outbound search because he wants to know a place where he can look and go and read. Okay. So inbound versus outbound systems are different. Okay. To stay updated, you will need a combination of both. So the first step is, what is the inbound system you can create? Do you know about Google Alerts?
I don't.
Okay. So I've done this. Okay. I've just typed SEBI and it is showing me all the news here. It is not from the SEBI site, but this is just news from different websites on SEBI.
Related.
So now I can create as many alerts on as many search keywords as I want. And I can decide that I want a mail on this every day, at most once a day, as it happens, at most once a week, depending on my level of priority. SEBI might be top priority for you, but something else like try maybe once a week is fine. So SEBI, let's say at most once a day, sources, automatic, this is all fine. How many results? All results or only the best? I'll take all results. Deliver to, so it can go to an RSS feed or my email ID. So I'm doing update alert here. One I'll show you with my email ID. Okay. Now every day I'm going to get an email from on everything that has happened where SEBI has been mentioned in the news. It will come in my inbox. Okay.
Oh, great.
What will the entry look like? They will look like what we had seen right now. That's what comes in my email. So Chetan, Venkat, Juhi, you can choose something of top priority and enter like that. Okay. Now another option could be, I hate everything hitting my inbox. So I'm going to do RBI, show options, and I'm going to say RSS feed. Okay. So it's going to give me, it should give me an RSS feed ID. Please mute yourselves, guys. So this is the RSS feed. Please.
Okay.
1 second. Okay. Now this is the RSS feed. What needs to be done is, I need to take the feed address. I am missing the feed address. I think this is the address. The reason I'm showing you the RSS feed one is because now you can put as many as you want into a feed reader. I'll show you a feed reader. Example of a feed reader is Feedly. So we are configuring incoming sources. Okay. You can all go on this tool called Feedly. I had configured it years back. but now I'm customizing it for the use we want to. Okay, so here I'm going to add in a new feed. Okay, RBI Google Alert. If I do a follow, it's going to ask me for a paid plan. So I don't want a paid plan. So for now, I can stay on email. But remember that you can get these into a RSS feed client. What is a RSS feed? RSS is really simple syndication. That's what it's called. Basically, there are feed readers, softwares inside which you can put multiple such RSS feeds. So it comes inside the software and you just go once in the software, everything will come back. So you can try another reader like Dig Reader or something. A lot of these are not working. So for now, we'll stick to email, okay? Because I'm not able to configure the RSS. So we'll stick to email. Now, if I want SEBI to send me information, so SEBI was also something I had configured on RSS. SEBI and RBI used to give us RSS feeds. So you look at this, three waves are here, no? Business and this three slanting waves. This is basically an RSS feed that I had configured. So let me see if we can do RSS feeds for RBI, okay? The best way for sites which have an RSS feed, you can just do it through this. So you have to copy the link here. So Juhi, for you, depending on what I want, press release, notification, suppose I want notification. I copy this. Now the thing is, if I put it in my browser, no gibberish will read. This is what an RSS feed address looks like. If I put it in my browser, it will be gibberish. I need to add the feed here. I'm not finding that option. 1 second. Why am I not finding? Now it has loaded. This is my RBI feed, okay?
Okay.
So now this is how it's going to load.
Okay.
Get notifications delivered by Feedly. Now the question is, how do I want to use this? I would want to follow this. Right? I'll call it new feed RBI. Create. Okay. Now in my account, it has come here. RBI notifications. Now all the notifications are here.
Okay.
So RBI will refresh it. September से पुराना नहीं है. अब similarly I'll go and add RBI का. These are the two most important ones, right? Notifications and press releases. So I'll copy the link address and I'll repeat the same process. It is showing anyway. Speeches from RBI. SEBI RSS feed is here. Okay, so what I will do is follow new feed SEBI. Now I can set a time in my Google Calendar every day where I just check this in the morning. Right? So adjudication order, framework for issue of depository receipts, everything is here. Now I have two things done. One is an email feed which tells me what different news sources are saying about SEBI. If SEBI issues a notification, I will get it from that Google alert because it is scanning, it is Google's robot scanning all the sites. So his SEBI scan will also come. But here I will see all the SEBI ka things. So if I see in the news that SEBI has passed an order against a major company, I will just look here adjudication order in respect of that. Like here there is in respect of Corporate Professionals Capital Limited. Okay. So I've got it here, right? Now I can visit it and stay updated. You following this?
Yeah, followed.
This is step 1 is incoming sources for feed for your where incoming blasts of information hit you. One is through your inbox. The second is through a feed reader. Okay. Step 2 is where people struggle, which is that they keep getting a barrage of information coming at them. Yeah, so there is, like, for you it might be, you have to track SEBI, labor laws, this, that, everything all together. So the whole problem becomes, and some of this cannot be automatically scanned. Like this technique which I'm using to pull everything inside will not work. So I'll set up Google Alert for labor law also. So I'll say Google Alerts. So labor laws ka I'll set the alert. So I'll come to know about the news. But from the news, I'll have to do second level where I search. So if they say something new about Indian labor laws and they say that the code on wages is now being, the rules pursuant to code on wages are being notified, then I have to dig out those rules, right? So that level is the second level inquiry I need to do. The other way is then I need to categorize. Okay, I need PF, I need ESIC. So I need to see if EPFO has any RSS feed. Similarly, I will go and see if EPFO has RSS feeds. What can I get that makes me stay updated from them? And you will have relevant state departments, right? So every state's website, usually Labor Department website, gives you updates. So you will have to keep visiting them. That is a problem that is unsolvable about visiting. Now, but there will be other ways that you can come to know whether there has been an update. Like Live Law or Bar and Bench are highly likely sources that will tell you whether there is an update. But again, you want to pull them into this so that you don't miss something, right?
Also, there is a language barrier, say for laws which are state specific, and you have to go to the state's website. For even if you see for Gujarat, there are, I mean, people who visit Gujarat state websites, they'll see that most of the rules and everything are only available in Gujarati. Similarly, for other states. So when you visit their sites, you do not.
Gujarat Labor Department. It's exclusively in Gujarati?
No, not the labor department. Say if it is relating to Gujarat Panchayat, or it is relating to some land laws, they'll be available freely on open source on Google, but then they would not be available on the website of the proper.
Land records and all of that may be in regional language. वो तो translate कराना पड़ेगा. Can't do anything.
नहीं land records की बात नहीं है. Say you have some rules जो are state specific that you will get only in Gujarati. Even the textbooks and everything will be in Gujarati. You have to specifically have someone who knows, and it's not a second language Gujarati or something. It is pure Gujarati that you must be well versed with the language. Only then you'll able to comprehend it, or you need someone to make you understand that.
To the state level, or the panchayat level, municipal, basically the village level panchayat ka bylaws and all of that.
And when you take it up to the High Court, you need to get everything in English.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Correct.
So this is where, see, either you get it translated,
correct,
or you get an English copy. But an English copy authenticated by the department specific is not possible.
You file a PIL with the High Court, they will say that whenever a new adhiniyam or whatever is passed, there should be a certified English copy for access to justice for clients, ease of court and ease of lawyers, and transparency in the system. Under Article 226, you file that PIL. I think that would be a useful one. And it is highly likely to get accepted, given the importance of the issue.
All right.
This is what you're asking, na?
Yeah.
PIL should be filed for these kind of things.
Because such information cannot be accessed. Say, for Bombay and for Gujarat, there are many things that overlap, okay? And there are many, you have so much land that over which you do not know which rules to apply.
Yeah.
And if you get stuck in this linguistic problem, then it's never it stalls you everywhere, and if you interpret it badly, and if you put a wrong word before the quote,
Yeah,
it might just
correct. So people use, you can use arguments around, even one is access to justice. You can put that under Article 21. Right to practice law will come. All of that will come where you want a certified English copy to be available as much as possible from any lawmaking body, because when you are going to get justice from the High Court or the Supreme Court, this is the first thing that is needed, and everybody doesn't exclusively understand only Gujarati. So if you look at
correct.
international law, you are having a Hindi and English copy.
Yes.
So it is needed. So you can create a case like that, and I think that's good. Yeah, that kind of development is important in the system. Okay. So
Yeah.
is that
Thank
part addressed? So that barrier to get for getting updated stays until your PIL is successful. There is no two ways about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the next point we were looking at? Email Google alerts. Now, sometimes you want to track sectoral regulators, or you want to understand the new area. Suppose Juhi, you have been told, or Venkat suddenly realizes that, now it's time for me to learn about the IBC because it is becoming important. I am working in a company where we are regularly either initiating IBC process or at the receiving end of it, and you are required to learn a new law from scratch. This is frequently a problem that is faced by lawyers. And this is the kind of problem that is not addressed over a long period of time. And this is where people stay stuck in terms of their professional growth. So how do you go about that? So of course, you have courses like LawSikho's Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code course to learn systematically, right? In addition to that, you will want that, okay, how can I amp up my effort and learn from scratch? So there is something, so you can go to, for example, the IVBI's website, okay? And so I spoke to Vishaka and I said, what should new lawyers do who want to specialize in this? In addition to anything that's available, let's say our course is available in the market, but how do they get even simple things like the BEAR Act in clear order? Because what happens is there are already so many amendments. So every time people have to access an amended version, they have to read the old act, they have to read the amendment, they have to read all the amendments together and then join the old with the new, or they have to go to the bookseller and buy the latest edition, and in the next few months again it is amended, right? So you might find an edition which doesn't have all the amendments. So the simple process to use is, now there are some regulators who are keeping their websites absolutely updated, right? Now here, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code IBC is updated here till 6th August, which means it has the latest 6th August amendment. So this is the Amendment Act, but here you're getting it amended till the latest amendment. So it is all together here. So you might want to use this or take a printout, get it spiral bound, whichever way you want to keep it. But the good part is that here you can access the amended act. Same thing applies to the regulations. IVBI has done this. We don't see this happening with too many regulators in India. SEBI also amends its regulations and puts the amended ones pretty well. So you don't have to keep manually adding up every regulation's content. You can take example of any other regulation also. So there's a ton of regulations here. So this same process which is being followed for the act is being followed for the regulations. Look at this. The Information Utilities Regulations of 2017 is amended up till 1st April 2018. So this is, or this one, for example, the Insolvency Resolution Process for Corporate Persons Regulations. This is a very important regulation under IBC. So here you get the amended regulations, which ensures that you can read the cases side by side, because when you're reading IBC, you will want to read the latest cases. And when you're reading the latest case, you want to match it with the updated regulations so that you know what's the latest position of law. So this is one part, okay? Having the BEAR Act clear. Most people, when they read, they are reading from different conflicting sources of law, or they're reading from sources which are too dense. They don't know what's the view that's the correct view. So use the BEAR Act. For that, find the source that is going to give you the authenticated BEAR Act. The other thing that is great here is IBC's, Abhigna, just wait. Huh? So IBC's newsletters are really, really good. IVBI's newsletters. So how do you use these? You do not use these to learn about the position of law, but you use these to track how developments have happened. Now, this is telling you summaries. Orders are there. So this is going to tell you about the background. So it's great reading. Maybe not about the events, but see here. Now this is a summary of the orders which is there. Okay. So you can use these. But what happens now, a lot of times people face a challenge in absorbing the volume of information that is given here. Okay. So one part of our session today is going to cover that how do you absorb this information. So when you find these places, now if you read these quarterly newsletters, now you read 2 or 3 quarterly newsletters, you will understand a fair idea you'll get about what trends have happened in the IBC. You will not understand it so well as to advise a client, but you will understand it in a way that when somebody advises you or talks to you about it, you can make sense of the conversation. Okay. But if you want to advise a client, if you want that depth of understanding, what do you do? Right? So there you need a filing cabinet. What's a filing cabinet? You need to have a place where you can keep putting in these updates. You will have Google alerts. You will have these IVBI newsletters. You will need to put these somewhere in your note-taking tool. For example, I can keep notes in something like a Trello. I'll show you some simple note-taking tools that you can keep. I use 2 or 3 of them because different types of notes I keep in a different tool altogether so that my mind is not confused. Like this is Google Keep. Okay, so I keep notes on different types of topics, like what are the areas on which we will put video. So I've written it here. New courses that we want to launch. So like this, you can create a category, IBC upgradation. Sorry, this is a search tool. You can create a new label here. Create a new label, IBC upgradation. Okay. Now this is your knowledge upgradation happening. Because see, when you cannot all the time be reading updates, you will not be able to work in office hours then. Right? So what you want to do is here now you want to write. This is already tagged as IBC upgradation. If I want to color it in a color so that I remember that this is the note, then I can use this. Now I will put in IVBI's newsletter. So this is my filing cabinet for now. Okay, any update that I get. So this is the amendment bill, for example. Let's just go to the IVBI site and see. I've missed it. 1 second. It was on the previous page. So I want IVBI's newsletter for, like this is my task list for the day. Okay. So I want, which here, you can see my screen, right? So I've got I'm not getting the link for it. A broad link is coming. So IVBI newsletters. I can make a list also. Upgrades. So this is what I'm going to do when I read. Okay. Upgrades for week ending October. It's ending 11, 12, 13th. 13th is a Saturday. Okay. IVBI newsletters. What else do I want to read? I want to read maybe IBC amendments in 2019. So I'll put the link again. Now, a few interesting things here. You can copy this straight away to Google Docs, which means if you have to write a lot of text, you can straight away make a document out of that. So this is a filing cabinet. Now, I will list out everything I need to read during my study hours. And I'm telling you why this is important. Most people don't do it. They will stop at the level where they say this. They will read this. They will open the newsletter. Is the newsletter coming on screen or is that a different window? I don't think you can see the IBC newsletter. Can you all see that?
No.
You're not able to see it. I'm going to share the window again. It opens in a new window. Now you can see.
Yeah.
This is the IVBI newsletter. Okay. So it has the latest orders in that quarter. This summary is very nice. Now the thing is that I want to understand, if I want to advise a client, I want to know the whole sequence. That, let's take the example of this case. The adjudicating authority did not admit application for CIRP filed by a trade union which is not an operational creditor. NCLAT dismissed the appeal against order of the... So it's very dense, right? You can see this. And not everyone will be able to quickly process what this means. While disposing of the appeal against the order of the NCLAT, Supreme Court observed that a trade union is an entity under the code and can make a claim. And it can make a claim for a workman for its debts, to recover debts. Okay, great. Now, this is average knowledge. I've got what it's saying. But I want to read in a way that I can really advise a client. Maybe I have a client who's an employee who's saying that I'm not part of a unionized industry, but I want to approach as an operational creditor. Or another client who's saying that there are two unions, I am the minority union. Can I go and file? I'm not the recognized trade union in the organization. Can I file for insolvency of this company because my dues are unpaid? Can I file through the union? Can 10 of us file through the union? Okay. So these kind of questions will come, for which you will need to read this case, right? And you will need to know each of these sections. So then you will have to dig this out. You can dig this out through Indian Qanun or whatever structure you want. I prefer to use Indian Qanun because it has Google search embedded inside it. I'm not sure if I think only if you are litigating in the Supreme Court where you need, or High Court or trial courts where you are giving the court copies of the cases, that's the only situation where you don't, where you cannot use this and you need a true copy of EBC or something like that. Otherwise, in all cases, you should be able to use Indian Qanun. And one of the ways to get landmark judgments is actually by searching on that. And you will be surprised how many unique aspects we have been able to cover by simply searching intelligently. This was for Chetan. You wanted to look at cases, right? So I'll give you some examples of areas where we could dig out cases. But 1 second, first, let me just complete the part on IBC. So this case was JK Jute Mill Mazdoor Morcha versus, some of you may have heard of this, Juggilal Kamlapur. So I'll need to put all of this as a link somewhere, otherwise I will not be able to study this. So it is important that you have a filing cabinet and you have a time set to study. This is the Supreme Court judgment, okay? Now I've got the link, I'll put this in my Google Keep. Assume that this is my task list. So I'll put this for my Google Keep. So I need to organize like this and put things together so that when I go back to study this, I can actually study all of this at one go. Most of us don't take that time out to do it. Okay. The other way, if you want to save regulations on your computer, is to organize them into a drive or a Dropbox folder. Some people prefer hard copies. You can get them print out and spiral bound. Okay. But this is the start. Now, if it's a new subject that you're not familiar with, it will take you some time to come to grips with it. Okay. So now I'll give you an example. Okay. In our labor law course, we were teaching about non-compete agreements to HR managers, about employment agreements and non-compete clauses and confidentiality clauses, all of that. So people know the general principle that non-compete agreements are void if they are imposing post-contractual restraints. But we wanted to know what's the most important, useful law that is available. So the simplest thing we did was search non-compete. And this is the way that really works well, because you get one case from Indian Qanun, it refers to a catena of cases before, after. Okay, so the courts, you can really backtrace an entire doctrine. We did this technique for, see, you will find here. This is the tax aspect, but you will find contractual also. You will write non-compete clause employment. And you will be surprised at the detail at which you will be able to pull out. Now the thing is, what you want, Chetan, is a ready reckoner for landmark case laws. In India, that's where the problem is. Nobody is willing to tell you that this is the landmark case law. But how will you find out what is the landmark case law? Once you search, when you open a case like this, you will find out that sometimes the courts are referring again and again to the same case. For example, if you look at infringement related cases or whether an idea can be copied or not, you will find that the Supreme Court again and again refers to its original R.G. Anand case. So you come to know that this is the landmark case law and it has not been overruled. Okay? Or, so I'll do the search that I was doing earlier. So I wanted to know about tripartite settlement agreements. Okay? Under Industrial Disputes Act. These are agreements between a trade union and the employer in the presence of a conciliator. So these are covered in Section 18 of the Industrial Disputes Act. Now, when I open one case here, what I realize is that they are citing many other cases. So I come to this case here, then I come to another case here, and a lot of them will be talking about the same concept. So what I do is then I make a list or I make a document which cites all these cases and I put together what they are saying. Now this is how we do create a lot of top quality research related content for our courses, but this is a method you can use yourself also for areas in which you have interest. Okay, I do this for the areas in which we need to really put in new case laws. There are areas for which there can be new case laws, like settlement agreements has tons of cases which we can include. Enforceability of non-compete and non-solicit clauses, we found some interesting cases. Then there was one of our contract drafting students who said that are prenuptial agreements valid? I want to draft one. Okay. Now I know that that the word is going around that prenuptial agreements are not valid. However, if you look online and you search, you will find out that prenuptial agreements may not be valid if they are going against the statutory law or trying to control the influence of the Hindu Marriage Act or divorce related provisions or succession related provisions. If you are not doing that, if you are just ensuring that your prenup clarifies who will contribute to which property, who has ownership over which property, it can work. Another situation when your prenuptial agreement will not work is if your other partner files a suit for restitution of conjugal rights and you say that we have a prenup, this is what it says, that we can stay away if this happens, and you're using a clause of the prenuptial agreement to stay away, then the court will say this is going against the philosophy of the law, against the provision of the law, it's against public policy and void. But if that's not happening in your prenuptial agreement, or you're severing this clause and a different situation is at play where you only have to decide who gets what part of the property based on who paid for what, then it will work. So that aspect of cutting edge research can be found out if you use these techniques to research the law. Okay, we were looking, for example, now there was a very interesting position we identified in the case of non-solicit agreements. So most of the any standard contract where two parties are interacting with each other in a joint venture, or let's say there's a collaboration, or there's an employment agreement or a consultancy agreement, there will be a non-solicit clause, right, between the two parties. Now, what we found out interestingly was that what the court said is that a non-solicit agreement might restrict. So a non-solicit agreement or an anti-poaching agreement, okay, not a non-compete. So non-compete, post-employment non-compete is invalid against the employee. Everybody knows that. But when two companies are entering into a relationship with each other and they say that we will not poach the other company's employee, then the court is saying that that clause is valid because it is not restraining the employee from applying to the other company. So if the companies agree that, listen, I am not going to poach your employees, you are not going to poach my employees, but if I put a general announcement for hiring people and your employee applies for that, then I'm not going to respect this clause because it's through a general announcement they are coming, and then I'm free to hire. So then it works. So anti-poaching agreements are valid in India. if this is how they work. But otherwise, a non-compete cannot be enforced. But vis-a-vis a company, you can enforce a non-compete, a non-solicit in this way. Okay. Now, this was an interesting point that we saw, and you can acquire the same through this kind of case search. Do not worry about which is the landmark case, because if you actually look at the cases on any proposition, you will find that there are not more than 15 to 20 cases if you look at High Court and Supreme Court cases. And then what your goal has to be, you have to identify what was the situation that was there at play when you read the case. So we did this exercise with a few HR managers when we were taking a training with HR managers at ITC. We were doing this a couple of months back. They wanted to, so we decided let's train them in how to read judgments, and we divided a judgment into about 12 or 13 parts, starting with the names of the parties, to the facts of the case, to the arguments of the parties. And we saw that if we just read the first 3-4 lines of every para, we will come to know which is the real part of the judgment and what is everything else, like arguments of every party, which we may not want to read. We just want to read what happened before the case came here, what are the facts, and what is the court holding. So we realized that even HR managers who are not trained in statute, okay, they may have learned a few subjects, labor laws and all of that in college, but they are not, like, they don't read cases day in and day out. But they were able to grasp how to read a case and how to find the ratio of that case. Now, if you do this for all the cases you find on a particular proposition, like I did a search recently for non-conventional trademarks, that how were companies enforcing non-conventional trademarks like sound, color, smell in India, and can these be registered? Then I found out on the internet, on Indian Kanun only, there were many reported cases where non-conventional trademarks were being enforced through passing off. Okay. And so that became possible. Like, you will be able to identify stories. You have to identify the story in the case to be able to identify what's the part of law you can use again and again. What most people do is they try to mug up a very general proposition. Now, the problem with general tenets and propositions is you can use them any which way possible to suit the facts of a case, but it provides you no concrete idea. So if you use it in a court of law, they'll throw it out. They'll say that, what are you doing? How is that adding? It will not have any persuasive value because it's so general. But when you look at the facts and you look at it as a story and you identify, okay, this was the interest of the party at stake, and that is why the court decided this. And my interest is also similar here. So the same principle of law should apply. Then that case law research starts to make sense. Okay. Now, what is it that is going to lead to failure when you develop this approach? For one, lack of organization is going to be a big problem. If you come across things but you do not organize them and you do not put them into your structure to read, it's going to be a problem. So you need a filing cabinet, basically a software where you put things together. You need a system to have emails, Google alerts or RSS feeds coming into you. You need to dedicate time at a fixed time of the day for regular study, for being updated, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. You can do it on a case-to-case basis also. That when I need to start learning this area, like you can choose that this week I just need to do labor laws. Past 3 months I have not tracked it. I want to track it now. Next week I will track company law. For the past 6 months, any changes in company law, I'm going to do that. Even that is fine, okay? Now, what comes in the way of doing this is many people think I don't know the whole piece of law. I'm not sure if I'm correct. Okay, these kind of barriers come in. But because you are a lawyer, you are studying as a lawyer or you've qualified as a lawyer, this should not hold you back. If you study and work hard enough, you don't have to work hard, okay? If you just do this meticulously, it's just an assembly line kind of job to pull out the amendments, put them together, get them printed or read them on your software piece by piece and make sense of it. Most people don't make sense of it. They try to mug it up. Every time people intern with me or study our courses, I am stunned at how much people want to lift off. And when we tell them don't plagiarize, the only meaning they make of it is that, okay, don't copy paste so we can reword it. But the point is not to reword it in your own language. The point is to understand it in your own way. So what the court has said, and the sense it has put, you have to understand that and say that in your own words. So you have to put in that context. Now, if you read a case like that, you will be able to understand it in a way that you can apply it with clients in daily advice. Okay. So, for example, many of you may hesitate that how do I go about learning IBC? There is too much happening. So the way to go about it is take aside 1 week, 30 minutes a day, and two things you can do. One is acquire real skills. So you can do fictitious simulated drafts, which is possible in a course like what we have. The second thing you can do is that, okay, let me start. I am struggling with the latest cases in IBC. Let me take the latest quarterly report. What we have is till March to June. After June, I don't have. So after June onwards, I will look at a resource like Live Law or something. But I need to put down the proposition that is stated on Live Mint or Live Law. And then I need to read the case to match how this is working out. When you read the case, you will realize that there is so much journalistic dilution that has happened when the case was reported on a website, that it has value, but it doesn't have value in the way that you can add as a lawyer to a client. So that exercise needs to be performed separately.